To order our Board of Commissioners meeting, if we would please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, we will welcome any public comment for items that do not appear on today's agenda. Is there any public comment at this time? Yes, please, sir. We'd welcome you up to the podium. And if you'd be willing to state your name and municipality in which you reside. Good morning.
Okay. Name's Don Morgan. I'm a resident of Signage Township.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, Mr. Morgan. One moment. Yes?
Did the red light turn on? Or turn on?
Oh, we might have to
Red
get...
light on there.
Sorry, Mr. Morgan. Just give us 1 second.
Green.
Yeah, there we go.
There we go. It means go.
Now we can hear you on CNET, so
Okay.
please.
My name's Don Morgan. I'm a resident of Snowshoe Township. I've lived there all my life other than 4 years in the Navy. I was here last fall to inform the county commissioners about our Jersey Shore State Bank going to close on January 18th and ask if anything can be done about it. And also at the same meeting, I reminded them about the industrial zones we have in Snowshoe Township, and that when the bank leaves, there'll be a total of 5 businesses have left. Medical center, drugstore, grocery store, the hardware, and then the bank. The reason I'm here this year is because I've been following the CDT with the articles on the new warehouse. And as I mentioned here last fall, it seems like everything has to be in Happy Valley. Nothing ever goes to the mountaintop or other areas. So there's no employment up here right now other than unless you work at the gas station or maybe some timber companies that are working around or gas companies checking old wells. And sorry about that.
Oh, you're good. It's okay.
And so anyway, what I wanted to mention was that we have 3 industrial zones. A couple of them have several hundred acres that formerly strip mine ground. The Reese family, they're trying to make an effort to sell their property right next to Interstate 80, right across the 144 there, that's the entrance ramp. And I-99 is only 15 minutes away downhill. You should go eastbound on 80. So my question is does any of our county officials or Stephanie Berkowitz or to Glenn Thompson, I just never read anything where they're making an effort to get businesses on the mountaintop. And this new warehouse, there's drought in Europe, war in Ukraine, drought in the United States, now there's a drought in China, rivers are drying up in Germany and England. And what are we doing in Center County? 103 acres of farmland. We're going to strip the topsoil off and put a building and parking lots. And 700 employees, I can imagine what Benner Pike's going to be like. So my concern is that need to get something on the mountaintop for employment. And a warehouse, that'd be fine, it'd be right next to Interstate 80, but it seems like everything's already cut and dry to where it's going to go in that industrial park. So maybe you're going to be discussing the warehouse later in the meeting. I'd just like to know if anybody's made any effort to get the Business and Industry Council to remember there's other parts to Center County. All righty, thank you.
Mr. Morgan, thank you so much for being here today, for your comments. We can talk more after the meeting with you and dialogue more, but just some quick updates on where we've been working. Our Planning and Community Development Office has put together some advertising packages in terms of getting some data surrounding the off-ramp there in terms of some of the properties, availability. We've shared that with the CBICC so that they can market it. If there's any interested folks who are coming here for businesses to locate, we have that readily available that we can provide to them. Also, there's been a lot of progress on a broadband project that will bring high-speed internet to the mountaintop, to Snowshoe right off there, which will again help to attract businesses and keep businesses there as well. But we certainly appreciate that. It is much needed investment up on the mountaintop, especially on that corridor there, right near Snowshoe. So appreciate you coming in. We can certainly talk more. We're constantly in contact with the Borough Council and Township Supervisors up there as well. So we will continue to do so, okay? But we appreciate your advocacy for your community, okay?
Okay, thank you.
You bet.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Morgan. Okay. Is there any other public comment for items not on the agenda today? Okay. Seeing none, we will also accept public comment for items as they are under consideration. Anything we need to add to our agenda today? Okay. Seeing none. We'll look for a motion to approve the minutes from the 16th of August.
Motion to approve the minutes from August 16th.
I don't think I was here last week.
That's correct, yes. Would
So I
you
will-
prefer to abstain?
Yeah, I will
Okay.
abstain
All
from
right.
that.
I'll second it then. Is that okay? Okay. It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes. Any final discussion or changes needed to the minutes? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
And an abstention? Aye. Okay. All right, so it passes with 2 yeses and 1 abstention. Okay. We will welcome up Ann Mesner from our community, our Planning and Community Development Office, I should say. And Ann is here to discuss some exciting news in terms of progress being made on the multimodal bridge project. So Ann, we'll turn it over to you for this item and the next one, but first to the bridge bundle. Good morning.
Good morning. So, as you know, we have 2 bridge bundles. We are working on the 2018 bridge bundle, which is 3 bridges that are to be rehabbed. Last Friday, on the 19th, Larson publicly opened the bids with the controller present, and there were 6 bid packages submitted. They were all acceptable based on the criteria in the bid package. They all met the standard, and they all provided the correct surety amount based on their total bid price. So before you, you'll see a table on the table, you'll see a table of those prices. And the low bid for these 3 rehabs was Glenn O'Haw Baker Inc. For a bid price of $2,148,818.00. This does put us over budget for the construction part of $662,658. The cost increases are, there's a theme here, and you've probably heard it in the news. We are having the same cost increases. Mobilization has increased, maintenance and protection of traffic, and the final item that was unexpected was the construction connection of the roadway to the bridge. So you basically break apart everything and then you have to put it back together. So that was also a higher price than anticipated. With that, I didn't know if the commissioners had any questions, so I will do my best to answer.
Thank you very much, Ann. Any questions on this before we look for entering into contract negotiations? Any questions or comments?
Because we do need to take the low bidder, right?
Absolutely, yes. Yep, absolutely. And we should, so before we get any questions, for the record, if you would be willing to, and if you have it, the other bidders and their bid amounts, just so we have it on the record for today.
Sure, I can read through them.
Thank you, thank you.
Just one item. These bids are the proposals that they have as set prices. So the negotiation would happen likely at a later date when it comes to unanticipated cost overruns and change orders during construction. Couple examples I can think of is there's an unanticipated flood that damages something while items are under construction, and then we have to go back and deal with that. But this is their price for these rehabs. So the remaining bidders, number 2, HRI Inc., $2,259,849.00. Bidder 3, Clearwater Construction Inc., $2,313,775.00. LTT Trucking LLC, $2,349,885.00. Nissel Road Contracting Company, Inc., $2,531,074.84. And finally, on number 6, Charles J. Merlot, Inc., $2,794,000 even.
Thank you, Ann. And questions?
Yeah, just a couple, Ann. You said it was over the budgeted amount by about 600,000?
$662,000.
Okay, I guess where will that delta come from in the conversation?
Yeah, so there are a couple options. We have set aside some dollars from the fee for local use. It is not enough. At this point, we only have $125,000 set aside. So we could continue to use those dollars as they come in. The next distribution would be in December of this year and then in June of next year. And that in its total would be roughly would meet the $662,658. However, the timing might be a little off. So the other option is to use Act 13 funds, which have not been used in several years. I have to get confirmation, but I know for a fact there's $1.5 million that is sitting there that could be used. There are a couple extra steps with those funds. The MPO has to be notified, and so that notification process is pretty straightforward. It's an administrative notification, but ultimately what happens is it is then, once approved through that process, is added to the Transportation Improvement Program.
And the Act 13 dollars would qualify for these projects?
Yes.
Absolutely. And Ann, correct us if I'm wrong on this, but the estimates for the project that you're quoting that are over $600,000 over budget are from 4 years ago. Is that correct?
Yes, 2017, 2018 was when this estimate was developed, yes.
So just to note that these numbers the numbers you're quoting aren't from prior to the budget, or the project being bid out. It was from almost 5 years ago.
Correct.
Thank you. But yes, Commissioner Dershowitz, you're absolutely right. We should discuss at another meeting where do these funds come from. So I think we have some options, but we can certainly discuss that more. Thank you. No, absolutely. Thank you. Any other questions before we look? Okay, all right. So this is a big step, Ann. Thank you. We just do also want to note, I should say, we designated through the advertisement for the bids that we would designate Larson Design Group as the entity that would open them, again, in the presence of the controller. They were opened on Friday. We're reading them here today, just again for transparency's sake. But with this and your recommendation, and Larson's as well, we look to enter into contract negotiations with Glen O. Hallbaker Incorporated for this project.
So you'd like a motion?
Please, yes.
Motion to enter into contract negotiations for the IFB Multimodal Bridge Rehabilitation Bundle Project.
I'll second that.
All right, it's been moved and seconded, and we'll see this back on the agenda in how many weeks, do you know, Ann?
If possible, next week.
Fantastic. Okay, good. Okay, possible caveat, but we hope to see you back then. Thank you.
All right.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The motion has carried. Okay, thank you again, Ann. And we'll go on to our liquid fuels and fee for local use program and what that looks like for 2023.
Yes, so I've given a couple updates earlier this year, but this is the time of year where we kick off the solicitation to the municipalities, as well as sending out the application for municipalities to submit their projects that they would like to see funded by county liquid fuels. And we are estimating, we don't have the full amount, but we are estimating roughly $160,000 the county will receive this year. Typically what happens is these letters go out this week, this Friday. We give the municipalities time to put their package together. They are due October 21st before 5 p.m. All of those applications are then submitted to PennDOT to make sure that they are an appropriate use of liquid fuels. It's very rare that there's a problem with that, but we need to do that before the commissioners make a decision. And then at a later time in the year, the recommendation comes from planning staff, commissioners consider it, and usually in December, a decision is made on the distribution of those funds. I don't know if you have any questions.
We'll see if we do. Any questions for Ann on this? Okay. All right, we'll look for a motion to approve.
Motion to approve the letters of solicitation to municipalities.
I will second that.
It's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion on that?
Well, the only thing I would say is going back to the, I don't know what the fee for local use impact will be from that previous discussion, if we're going to use that money somewhere else. So it might indicate that, the program changes a little bit as far as, who gets what and how much, but we'll see.
Absolutely.
If I could add, in recent years, we've received almost $1 million to over $1 million in terms of requests. So like every year, it'll be a challenge.
So with that, all those in favor of approving, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign. The motion is carried. Ann, thank you again. Appreciate it.
Very much.
For our resolution section concerning CDBG, we will welcome up Mitzi Gallagher-Long to discuss these.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mitzi.
So you have 3 resolutions. So this is for your CDBG application for 2022. The first resolution is the resolution to apply, which authorizes Cdbg to submit the application on behalf of the county and authorizes Chairman Pipe to sign all of the application pages. Resolution 16 is the Section 504 compliance resolution, and this just reappoints Krista Davis as your Section 504 officer. Resolution 17 is your fair housing resolution, and this reappoints Betsy Barnt as your local fair housing officer.
Okay, thank you, Mitzi. Any questions for Mitzi on any of these resolutions? Okay. All right, we'll look for a motion to adopt all 3.
Motion to adopt resolutions 15, 16, and 17 of 2022.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion or questions? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion is carried. Okay. And then going into the next section, we have the 2022 application section.
These are your 3 documents in the application that do require a signature. The disclosure report, and what this report does is it just names every entity that has any benefit to the funding. So the county's listed on there, Bellefonte Borough's listed on there, any of the engineers, Cdbg, et cetera. It's just a required page for the application. The general application certifications, there's one for the county, and then there is one for Bellefonte Borough. The county does on behalf of Bellefonte Borough. And then your language access plan, this is the same as it has been since the survey data was released in 2019. The county has 3 languages that are tripped of a population above a certain percentage. You have Chinese, Russian, and German. And this just states that you have to have a language access plan on file, which the county does.
Mitzi, thank you so much. Any questions on these 3 items before we look for a motion to approve? Okay, we will look for the motion to approve.
Motion to approve the Commissioner Chair to sign the required documents for the Community Development Block Grant 2022 application.
I will second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion is carried. Okay,
Thank you.
Mitzi, thank you so much. Okay, for our items for our district attorney's office, we will welcome up Liz Rosenberg and Faith Summers as well to discuss this grant renewal. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning, Commissioners. We are here this morning to ask for approval of submission for grant renewal through the Rights and Services Act and also the Victims of Juvenile Offenders Grant. You should have each received a packet that we are hoping to submit to the Pennsylvania Commission on Crime and Delinquency. These monies would be allocated for staff salaries to help provide education, accompaniment, support to victims and survivors in both the adult and juvenile court process. And that's it in a nutshell.
Okay. All right, thank you, Liz.
All right, thank you.
Faith, anything you'd like to add to this?
No, Liz did a really great
Okay.
This is an ongoing grant that we submit every 2 years. We're just looking for permission to submit it again.
Absolutely. We should say, we all thank you so much for what you do for folks within the criminal justice system that are working through the process, especially the victims and survivors. So we thank you so much for the work that you do and putting this money to great use. So thank you.
We appreciate your
Abs-
support.
Absolutely.
And you would share with us if there were any additions to your staff in your office.
We most certainly would, and we'd probably stop by for a visit.
Okay, good.
And maybe pick up a license from the treasurer's office for maybe.
And maybe
Yeah,
some
yeah,
treats
yeah.
from the commissioner's office.
Absolutely. Commissioner Dersham's office, yeah, absolutely.
I'm sure additional
Yeah.
staff would appreciate those treats.
All four paws on board.
Right.
Okay, well, let us know if there's any developments
We'll
that
keep
we
you
should be
posted.
aware
We're just a
of.
little excited.
Or
so-
maybe we can come visit.
That's great.
Yes.
Excellent.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much.
With that, we'll look for the motion.
Motion to add the grant with the Pennsylvania Commission on Crime and Delinquency to next week's consent agenda.
We'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For our probation and parole items, we have Cody Young and Terry Trude with us today. Is Terry going to tackle this one? Okay, okay, great. Okay. Good morning, Terry.
Morning, Commissioners. We're requesting, Terry Trube with probation, we're requesting approval for a grant agreement with the Juvenile Court Judges Commission to provide juvenile probation services for the fiscal year 2022 through 2023. The grant agreement total is $104,043, beginning this period, July 1st, 2022.
Thank you so much, Terry.
It is an annual grant, so.
Absolutely. Okay, and we thank you. You've been here before for this to outlay the uses for this. Goes to great purposes. We appreciate all the work you do for folks, young people within the criminal justice system. So appreciate you being here representing this. We'll look for a motion to add the grant agreement to next week's consent agenda.
Motion to add the grant agreement with Juvenile Court Judges Commission to next week's consent agenda.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion is carried. Thank you, Terry.
Thank you.
All right, we'll welcome up Chad at this time for a contract with OptiSigns. Good morning, Chad.
Good morning. Today I have a contract for consideration with OptiSigns. This platform will provide digital signage for the county. So our plan is to start with one monitor, large monitor out in front of the Willow Bank lobby there. So can add messages, announcements, meeting schedules for the public and staff to see as they come through the building. So the contract is for 1 year. It is $112.50, and it is for just one monitor out here.
Okay, sounds good, Chad. We're looking forward to this and appreciate you bringing this before us today. Any questions or comments on this? Okay. We will look for a motion for next week's consent.
Motion to add the contract with OptiSigns, Inc. to next week's consent agenda.
I'll second that.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion or questions? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Motion is carried. Chad, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay. We're going to welcome up Faith at this time for our adult services items. Good morning, Faith.
Good morning. Thank you for having me today. I obviously have quite a number of contracts for you this morning, so I'm going to try to break them down based on funding source. So the first agenda item I have here is actually for the grant submission for our HUD funding for rapid rehousing. So that is due August 30th, and this would be then the second year that we would be looking to double our services in Center County. So the amount that you see in front of you is what we were just recently awarded with our expansion grant, which was really exciting. And that is the only agenda item I have today that would just need same-day approval.
Any questions on that item before we look for a motion to approve? All right, is there a motion?
Motion to approve the submission for the Continuum of Care Housing and Urban Development Rapid Rehousing Funds for the federal fiscal year 23-24 through the Department of Housing and Urban Development.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
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 Motion is carried.
Thank you. The next three contracts are really just cleanup. They are for housing transitions who provide rapid rehousing and emergency shelter services through our DCD Emergency Solution or ESG CV 1 and 2 grants, which is some of the COVID money that we had received back in 2020 and 2021. Really, all it's doing is just amending their existing contracts to address all of the contract addendums that we've recently had that took us up to June of 2022 and then again in August of 2022. Next week, you will see the contract addendum that you are aware of for the June 2023 date, and their contracts will accompany. So again, the next three here are just kind of a cleanup to make sure that everything is in line. Next after that is Center Helps. So we have a state calendar contract with them for their Emergency Rental Assistance Program, or ERAP, Application Assistance Hub. So we're maintaining the rate at $100 an hour for providing services to the community, especially for those that are struggling to apply or maybe need some additional help submitting their supporting documents. The next two are through the Human Services Block Grant. So this is a contract renewal with Center Helps to provide the community helpline, or what we call the information referral line, for $70,000. And the second there for Center Helps is, again, another contract renewal for their basic needs case management program. Both are flat funded from previous fiscal years. The next is through the Department of Ag. So this is with Central PA Community Action. They are a local lead agency for SFPP and TFAP. SFPP is the State Food Purchase Program, and TFAP is the Emergency Food Assistance Program. So again, they really just kind of oversee all of our local pantries, assist with monitoring and things of that nature. The next contracts, other than the one at the very bottom, are all through the block grant, and they're all contract renewals for our existing services. So we're looking at a contract renewal with Housing Transitions for Bridge, and that would be a total of $59,924. Contract renewal with Housing Transitions for the Homemaker Planning Case Management Service, $19,529. Contract renewal with Housing Transitions for the 2-in-1 Coordinated Entry Walk-In Center. This will be the second fiscal year that we've operated this service, and that is $61,059. Contract renewal with Center Volunteers in Medicine for their basic needs medical case management at $11,665. Contract renewal with Interfaith Human Services for financial care case management, and that's for $5,500. And I just want to note that in previous years, we had this contract with aging and children and youth. We have now broken out of that just for the sake of the type of billings that we have with them for various units. So just in case you see them come from other departments. We have a contract renewal with Service Access and Management, or SAM Inc. They provide administrative assistance for our rental and mortgage assistance program. So again, they cut checks for us as they do with our ERAP and FAIR programs. That contract total is $126,900. That includes all of the rental assistance services. So that is not the money that they receive as the admin. That's the total amount that we have in the program. Contract renewal for Center Safe Bridge Transitional Housing, $73,545. And then lastly, in the block grant is a contract renewal with Calvary Church. This is actually the first time we're going to do a full year with them. Last fiscal year with the block grant, we had done a 6-month pilot program. We're keeping the allocation the same at $75,000, but we're giving them 12 months to spend it. It's been a really successful program so far, especially in its infancy, but we find that with contracting and other types of needs, it just takes longer to spend the money because of different timing and such. So that's why the amount is the same, but the amount of time is longer. Lastly, this is through HUD NHTI. This is our contract renewal with Housing Transitions for the Rapid Rehousing Program. Just as I was saying, this is the first year that we have received an expansion to the program, which is great, and that is $385,415.
Thank you very
welcome.
much, Faith, for going through each of those, each important services. For item 14, the contract renewal service access management, you had discussed with us that there might be a potential of re-engaging with SAM to look at a potential different rate. Is that an ongoing conversation? We're moving this to consent, so there's still time to finalize that. Would this be a new rate, or is this the one we're looking to potentially change?
So this is the same rate for the RAP program that we've had with them for past couple of years that we've worked with them. What you're referring to would be with ERAP, which is what we will be looking at renegotiating their rate, and that's actually a calendar year contract. So we won't be coming back until January. It doesn't mean that we can't renegotiate mid-contract in the coming weeks with them, as we've discussed, and do a contract addendum. But that particular contract at that 3% doesn't expire until the end of this calendar year. This is just a different service.
This is a different
Yeah.
service.
Mm-hmm.
But still, the services they're providing are similar to the ERAP program? Or
They're
they-
similar, but much less, much fewer dollars each month, and it's more of a flat rate. So we have a flat rate for their admin regardless of how much that we spend. Previous to ERAP, with our RAP program, we knew we were going to spend $10,000 a month, and that was our cap. And so with this program, even when we used Center County Youth Services Bureau for this, we always just had a flat rate of $775, and which has been increased a little bit recently just with time. But the other programs that we've worked on, like ERAP in particular, are what have that percentage admin because the money spent is so fluid. And that's where we want to renegotiate because the percentage for ERAP doesn't look like a whole lot on paper, but when you're spending $500,000 or more dollars a month, it's a lot. So
Thank you for that.
you're welcome. Mhm.
Any other questions on these items?
Just one, I was just curious, the contract with Calvary Church.
Sure.
Do we know roughly how many homes they were actually able to help, or how many folks?
Yeah, so this past fiscal year, when we piloted the program from January to June of 2022, they started serving 4 households, and they completed 1 in that 6 month and then have carried over to finish some of the projects into this fiscal year. They have another 3 or 4 that are currently in progress, and then quite a number that are on the pending list. So assuming that the people that are on our pending list are able to be served at their max lifetime amount of $15,000, I think that the money may already be accounted for. But it has been very successful. There have been people, we have many people that are living in mobile homes that are very low income, seniors on fixed income, that don't even have use of their bathrooms because their roofs have been caving in. They have major leaks, electrical concerns, don't have hot water. So for one person, we replaced a water heater. One person that we just finished, not me personally, but they just finished a huge project to do roofing, completely gutted out parts of the home to do electrical work. They had one person where they completely redid the bathroom because they weren't able to use it. They weren't able to access their restroom or even have hot water to take a shower. So pretty destitute situations that oftentimes Calvary runs into because of their City Serve program, and they've been able to expand that over the past couple of years. But they had actually approached us in 2021 and said, we are just getting so many calls from the clientele you serve. Is there any grant out there? And so we were very fortunate to have some additional money in the retained portion of our block grant to just pilot. So it's not going to, it probably will not be a program that we have quick turnaround for and we can serve tons and tons of families just because of the money, but also the time it takes for the contractors. But it is definitely serving some of our lowest income, disabled, and very high need folks to stay in their home. And they have to be homeowners, of course. Yep.
And Faith, in the same vein, I'm assuming you're already working with Calvary Church. It sounds like this group of people might be eligible for the new home program. I know we don't have all the rules for that yet. But
Possibly, yep.
It sounds like a lot of overlap between this clientele and the people that the families that the home program is at least theoretically aimed at. Not, I mean, it only passed like 2 weeks ago, so we need more details.
Yeah, absolutely. We oftentimes in our department don't really interface with homeowners unless they're very low income. Maybe they had a home that has been passed down. They bought it very affordable, it was very affordable for them at some time. A lot of mobile homes because they were able to purchase that and pay the lot rent. So mobile homes are a lot of what we are seeing people needing assistance with, but certainly not everybody. We do have a number of people that are in the State College area, but a lot of folks are, as I think we discussed previously, out in the more rural areas where maybe the home is kind of generation to generation. There really hasn't been inspections on it or anything like that in quite a while. And I think the first case that we looked at, but I think City Serve actually took care of, was someone that had holes in their floor to the point where wildlife was getting in. And the person was disabled and on dialysis and very, very ill. And we thought, okay, like, we are already struggling so much with the affordable housing issues in Center County. What can we do to put some money into these home ownership and home repair to keep people where they're at? So, yep. Yeah.
With that, we'll look for a motion to add these items to next week's consent agenda.
Motion to add the adult services items 2 through 17 to next week's consent agenda.
It's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion or questions? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Motion is carried. Thank you, Faith.
You're welcome, thank you.
Thank you. All right, we'll welcome up Natalie for the MHID EI contracts. Good morning, Natalie.
Good morning. So I have a variety of items for the department. First is a letter of agreement with UPMC. And this is specific to our early intervention services. So this is for this current fiscal year of July 1, 2022 to June 30th, 2023. And our state share match of $2,000 is listed. Item number 2 is a linkage agreement. We continue to do these across the board as licensing is really encouraging departments to have linkage agreements with departments. So you will see that this is another linkage agreement with Geisinger Health System, in particular as they have expanded psychiatry and behavioral health throughout not only just Geisinger Hospital, right, but their outpatient clinics across the state. Number 3 is an addendum with Kim Rimmy, which is our service a student assistance program. We just had some additional time that she put in this year, and so we increased that contract to reflect fiscal year 21-22. We added another $2,110 to her contract for her time. So then contracts 4 through 8 are all for this coming fiscal year, 22-23. We have a contract renewal with Strawberry Fields. This one I want to highlight because it's a significant amount of money, and in particular, this is because of our community residential funding. As you know, they run our CRRs, we call them, in State College. They also run one here in Bellefonte, but for the last several years, it's been tied to 3 particular individuals with significant medical concerns, but we have transitioned out from that home into now 3 actual kind of CRR beds that will assist us with our Danville State Hospital individuals. It will be an availability to us to do diversions, unlike before where it really was just the home for the 3 individuals. So adding those actual beds back into our ability to serve critically needed residential services has been important to us. And so some of the funding in this grant, in this contract this year, reflects some additional staffing that CRR programs have needed for that. So you will see that in their contract.
Is that the property that used to be House of Care?
No, so this is separate. We own this home. They've owned this home in Bellefonte for the last several years. This is completely different from the potential that House of Care will be for them. Yeah. Advocacy Alliance contract remains the same for them to provide the social rehabilitation and CFST surveys. We've added Renewal with our Eagle Ridge personal care home to provide supportive living, with Meraki, in particular for family-based and family supports. And the last one was Sam Inc., who this one is important to us, as you know, because they provide us with our emergency crisis delegate services. This contract amount has increased this year. So this is our this will be entering our 3rd full year with them. We started with them in January 20. And we have just progressed into, we kind of use budgeting from what they did in some other counties, but our numbers look a little bit different than other counties do. We also have a lot of work that we require of them with our CIT trainings, with crisis meetings that are recommendations out of our task force. So we've had some additional kind of supervisory time that we've needed to account for with our delegate services. We feel that's important. So then we're able to have the staff be the delegate, and the supervisors kind of help us guide through this important service for us. So some of that increase this year is really reflective of the staffing that we in Center County have for this service.
Thank you very much, Natalie. Any questions on any of the other items, these 8 items? Okay. We look for a motion to add to next week's consent agenda.
Motion to add the mental health, intellectual disability, and earlier intervention items 1 through 8 to next week's consent agenda.
I will second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion, questions? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried. Natalie, thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Nat.
We will look for a motion to approve this week's consent agenda.
Motion to approve this week's consent agenda.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion is carried. Okay, and we'll turn it to Commissioner Higgins for our check run today.
Sure. So the check run for this week is a little bigger than usual, a little bigger than the average. It's $1,857,656.20. And the checks of the week are 2 housing transitions, a series of 7 checks totaling $13,555.98 for a broad variety of services, actually going back as far as April. So would like to make the motion to approve the check run dated August 19th.
I will second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion on our check run? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Motion is carried. Okay, thank you, Commissioner. John, anything to report at this time?
Yes, as you know, on August 11th, the Board of Elections made recommendation to the Board of Commissioners to apply for the Election Integrity Grant Program through DCED for funding in the amount of $540,987.73. The Board of Commissioners then subsequently approved applying for these funds in a public meeting on that same day. We have since then submitted the application electronically, and we quickly received notice that an electronic acceptance was needed in order for the funds to be transferred to the county's accounts. Since the application period, we have signed off on the acceptance digitally for those funds to come over. We are expecting the funds to be received by September 1st.
Thank you, John. Appreciate that update. Thank you. Okay. We have for ABCs 3 individuals who are looking for appointment to our Aging Advisory Council. We have Susan Babcock-Hoover, Constance Martin, and Matthew Fenton. And we'll look for a motion to approve those 3 ABC appointments.
Motion to approve the 3 ABC appointments.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any final discussion on them? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 The motion has carried. Okay. And then we'll turn it over to Commissioner Dershowitz, voter registration.
All right, we have one this morning. We have a total of 105,233 registered voters in Center County. That's up 155 from last report. And we have, the highlight reel includes 44,021 Democratic voters, 144 Green Party, 649 Libertarian, 14,277 no affiliation, and 42,340 Republican voters. And when you add the 3,802 all other party members, you get, again, the total of 105,233. The feature party of the week, small party of the week, is the NA party, N/A, and there are 2 members of the NA party, so we'd like to recognize them. And also I'd like to recognize Rush Township Precinct Number 72. They vote at the Rush Township building, and in the last election, there were a total registered voters of 1,207. There were 578 total ballots cast, which led to a percentage voter turnout of 47.89%. And the folks that make it happen at precinct number 72, we have Yvonne Maruchek, and she is the judge of elections, and we have the minority inspectors, which is Jennifer Maruchek, and we have the majority inspector, which is Heather Miller, and the clerks are James Maruchek and Cosette Miller. So looks like a team family effort up there, I'm guessing, and I just really appreciate the opportunity to say thank you to not only those folks, but also to the Rush Township supervisors for allowing us to use their building. So there you have it.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. We do want to announce that on Monday, September 5th, we will be closed for Labor Day. We will be meeting on September 6th at our public meeting at 10 a.m. Any executive sessions to report at this time, John?
No executive sessions to report at this time.
Okay. We're seeing no members of the press with us today, so we will look for a motion to adjourn at 10:44.
Motion to adjourn at 10:44.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you all very much.